Hey there, Wes Dove with Dove Development and Consulting. Wanted to send a quick message out this evening just to give you a little bit of an update of what to expect in the coming several days from a daily dose of leadership, but also kind of share a story that Cindy and I got to experience this past week. So we were able to, for the fourth time, be part of the Virginia Employment Commission's Veteran Services Annual Leadership Conference, and it's one of the coolest experiences that we get to be part of, and it's something that we've been blessed to be a part of, like I say, now for 4 consecutive years, ever since they went through a pretty significant change in the overall program with how they serve the veterans and just the way the organization is structured. We've developed some great relationships. It really started from the time that I spent as an HR guy doing a lot of hiring and developing a good relationship with their program and hiring a lot of veterans and bringing them into the civilian world and staff and doing filling different positions. And it just made sense because the level of soft skills, the level of leadership, the level of competency that they brought to the table, and just the way we could have that relationship when I was doing a massive amount of hiring, it was just win-win. But since in that time, it's just been a cool relationship we've watched develop, and we're just blessed with the folks, the Dr. Rob Walker, the Chief of Veteran Service, the friendship we've got there, and Dave Silcox and Stan Ragland and Paige Glass, and even our Chris Walker, who I've known for, gosh, going on nearly a decade now, and just the way we've been able to interact with that group. Now, we did about a half-day session, and it was about 100. What was unique about this year of the folks that were there, it's about 70 or 75 folks that are part of the Virginia group, but they had a number of folks from West Virginia and Maryland and DC and the Department of Labor that was part of this. So it's really the whole goal of their program is serving veterans and helping make that transition from the military service into civilian employment and so on, but also serving veterans that have different barriers to becoming employed, regardless of what those situations are. And Cindy and I have always tried to deliver some message, whether it's communication based or leadership based. And this time it was really about calendar planning, time management, just effective use of time. And it was about a half-day session we delivered. We probably put 100 hours into developing the content. And the big takeaway, now where I'm going with all this, is over the course of the next several days, the takeaway that I got from the event is really going to be the theme of what this week's messages in a daily dose of leadership will be, and that really stems back to service. Now, their motto with the Virginia Employment Commission's veteran services is serving those who served, and that's pretty cool. And just seeing the work that they do and understanding the impact they make, and that was even kind of the wrap-up slide that I have was, guys, you make a difference. And I'll tell you, just as I'm talking around it, each one of those, the predominant theme that we see with the folks that work in that group, and we've got a ton of friends there now, are some significant military experience. Many of them are retired military, and they could, every single one could be working in private sector, making 2 and 3 and 4 times annually what they're making there. But it's less about what they're making as far as wage, but more about what they're making as far as impact. And it's just so cool. They really live out and exemplify that serving those who served motto, vision, if you will, of what they've got, and they fulfill that purpose. So over the course of the next couple of days, the theme I'm going to use is really stems from a chapter in John's book Leadership Gold called "For Everything You Gain, You Give Up Something." And because all of those, they've gained a ton of fulfillment in what they do, but they've had to give up different things. Now, I would say they've got quality of life and they've got fulfillment and they've got all these different things, but they've certainly given up a high wage. And so they've certainly sacrificed, not only in their time serving our country, but in accepting the role and doing the work that they do, because in seeing it firsthand, I know how taxing it is and the amount of heart that they put into what they do. Now, one of the coolest things that we've been able to do in this process is the past couple of years they've given Cindy and I each a challenge coin that they've had made that represents all 5 branches of the military, their own Virginia Veteran Services logo, and so on. And it's got 2 hands clasped together that says, remember the service or remember the promise, and it has some smaller writing I won't take the time to read here, but one of the most touching things, one of the most humbling experiences I've ever had to date was as we wrapped up that session Friday morning. There was a retired Marine who was a Vietnam veteran. He was just recognized the night before for his Vietnam service, and in a pretty touching ceremony, and he came up and says, I really appreciate you guys and what you do for us. And guys, I'm going to tell you, much like it's doing now, it made me a bit emotional. And he handed me a Marine Corps Challenge coin, and it was one of the coolest experiences that I've had probably in my life. And for those of you that I've got a personal friendship with, know the different people that I've got to interact with over the last 20 years, that first and foremost my friend Terry Ward, and then there's just so many others that had served in the military that have impacted us. And that was one of the coolest things for him to say, hey, thank you. But my goodness, the little bit that Cindy and I do couldn't scratch the surface of the appreciation we've got for the work that those folks do. So anyway, that's the theme of this week. The last thing I'll say as I wrap this one up is hope you're able to join us. If you're not registered yet, hope you're able to join us for the ribbon cutting we're doing with the Harrisonburg-Rockingham Chamber of Commerce on the book we were able to contribute to, Discover Your Team's Potential. That's going to be July 11th at the HoneyBaked Ham Company here in Harrisonburg. And we look forward to, regardless of where it's at, we look forward to seeing you soon, and just appreciate the relationships we've got with each of you. So stay tuned for some message on service and how it relates to leadership over the next several days. Have a great day. God bless.